My name's Kate and I'm a first year PhD student at the Monash Biomedicine Discovery Institute. So for this video, I'm going to show you what it's like to work on a lab-based research project for your PhD. It's just before 8 o'clock in the morning and I've just arrived on campus, so I'm going to head into the BDI. So this is our lab space for our lab group that I work in, the Kyle lab. And the way this is generally set up is that everyone will have their own lab bench. So this would be a bench for one person where they'll do most of the experiments that they need to do on a day-to-day basis. They'll have a setup for the different types of things that they do all the time. And then we also have a few communal regions in the lab. So over here by the window, we've got a plate reader where that we use to analyze some of our experiments. Here we've got some PCR machines where we use to amplify regions of DNA. Over here we've got our section for running DNA gels, and then over here is where we generally run Western blots, which is a technique where you look at protein. So I've just come down to our liquid nitrogen facility here at the bottom of the Monash BDI, and this is where we store samples and cells at minus 180 degrees for long-term storage. I've just come back into the lab to finish off an experiment I started yesterday, and for this I'm using FACS, or fluorescence activated cell sorting. And this allows you to sort or analyse a population of cells based on their fluorescent profile. Today I'm looking at cell death, so I'm using PI, which is a stain that will only stain dead cells. My samples are ready, so now I'm going to go over to the FACS lab. It's time for a coffee break. So I've got my coffee and I just want to talk about what I enjoy most about doing a PhD. Most of the time I find working in the lab to be a really fun environment to be in, especially when you're working side by side with other people and you can bounce ideas off one another. I find talking about my research with others is really useful, especially when someone comes from a slightly different field or expertise from you, and they can generally prompt ideas that you haven't really even considered, which is really useful for your own research. I think the thing I find most rewarding about doing a PhD are the discoveries they get to make along the way. You get to discover things that are brand new, and I think when you consider the amount of time that goes into reading papers and planning your experiment and things don't work and you have to optimize things, I think when you finally get there and your experiment finally works and you get the answer to that question, even if it's just a small piece of the puzzle, it can be so rewarding. I'm on my way home, so I'm going to wrap the video up here, but I really hope that it gave you an insight into what it's like to be a PhD student and work in a lab. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.